was a useful exercise for me to try and make a kata out of what I know are old Okinawan karate drills. Right? And if you haven't tried making your own kata, I strongly suggest you do. Right? Because it's a very fun project, and you'll definitely, even if you just, as soon as you've learned it, you think, well, that thing's horrible, I'm never doing it ever again. but just the fact of going through the process, you will gain some insights in the way your traditional katas are constructed. So I get to this point, and I'm thinking, well, Motobu talks about like doing it like a back fist strike, or I thought if I put the back fist strike in, then people may think that strike is there, whereas it doesn't really happen, because his arm's jamming it. It's that forward pressure. So how do I record that forward pressure? And if I do it like a fast push, if I go, people might think that's a strike, So how am I going to do this? And I just went, well, I'll just go. So it's clear it's slow and a push. And then I started thinking, well, how many times in your kata do you see that? Like the Goju-Ryus. You see him pushing his face across. You see a slow push. Because if I went bang, is that a taisho? Is that a palm heel? Or is that a push? You slow it down, it's very clear it's a push, right? So as soon as I did it, I thought, yeah, well, that's what the traditional kata do. But, you're just learning it from a different angle. So that's how I did it. I just slowly bring my arm forwards. And as soon as I've done that, I then clasp. Pivot. You know what I mean? So it's the same as it. So that's how I solo did number 4. So I start with the hand fairly close. I push it forwards, and then I go boom, to that position. Is everyone okay to give that a little go? Is that okay? And if you think I'll show you one when we get to number 12. A friend of mine from Germany, when he learnt this kata, as soon as I showed him how I'd put number 12 at the kata, he goes, I'm doing it differently. And the way he did it, when he explained to me why he did it, I thought, you know what, that makes perfect sense to me. It didn't make enough sense for me to change the way I was doing it. But I could understand why he changed it the way he did. So immediately, the way he does it, and as a result, the way students do it, is different. But I understood why. It was a perfectly logical way to change it. So if you decide you may want to do it differently, you should do that. He said, okay, that would be the traditional thing to do. I know what the technique is. I'm going to record it slightly differently in my version of this kata. But that's how I did it. He said, okay, for what that may be worth to you. Okay, give that a little go then. So a push and then a pop. Strike. You go. Which is more akin to how it appears in the Wado drills as well. There is nothing wrong at all with doing that. He said, okay, because it's the same target. I tend to go that way because I want those bony knuckles prominent as they go in. He said, okay, so I have my arm angled that little bit. I'm confident of my ability to keep my wrist straight there because I know I can do that. And then from there, I'm going to hit with those 2 knuckles so they're going to dig right in. But, as one of you just did, if somebody said to me, I feel more comfortable doing it that way, great. Absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. Because to me, that's an acceptable variation because that hurts and that hurts. You know what I mean? You choose which one you want. But if somebody did something that was obviously, you could do a palm heel there if you wanted. It would only be if somebody went, I'm nukateing him here. I would go, that's wrong. You know what I mean? Because of that, but you're just going to break your fingers, right? But in terms of if you want to make a change that isn't violating the principles of the drill, it's a totally legitimate change. And again, I think that would reflect the changes we see through the style variations we get nowadays as well. Is that okay? So, and I say, 100% clear, you have my, if it's important to you, you have my full permission to change and tweak this kata in a way that suits you. Because I find that really interesting when people, oh, here's a video of the way I'm doing it now, Ian. Like you say, my friend from Germany, when he changed the last part of it, I get it. It's a good way to do it. He said, okay, and then I learn more from that process, seeing how other people are playing with it. Because that's happened to the traditional kata as well. So we can all learn something by seeing how these variations evolve. Is everyone okay with that one? Number 5, by modern karate standards, is super, super easy. Because it's recognisable to a lot of folk. Is that okay? Again, if you just get yourself to this way, you can see. If you remember I said at the start, it's the only one where you're in opposite stances. Right, so Ali's got his left foot forwards, I've got my right foot forwards. Right? And on this one, I'll talk about it in a minute, but I thought when I first saw this, Motobu's broke one of his own rules, and I thought about it more, but no, he hasn't, I'll explain that in a sec. So he swings at lead shot and he just parries out. Second shot comes in towards you, and he parries it down. You can use a body shot, I do go 2 head. Right, so he's got to go there, and straight shot. Yeah, so we'll go there and that way. And I'll knock it down, right? And then I'm edging forwards to do it. Now, me, on this one, I'd be quite happy to go bang. Take my back heel off and get my hip into it. But I made this Kata to be a record of Motobu's methods, and he doesn't like floating foot. So to get the power in, I just drag my back foot up instead. Is that okay? So it gives that power. But that is super simple. You know, but by modern karate standards, that windscreen wiper's going again, isn't it? And I thought, wait a minute, he said blocking with one hand and striking with the other. And I thought, no, he didn't. What he said was blocking with one hand and then striking with the other is not true martial arts. So he would have violated his rule if he went 1, 2, 3. Because he blocked with one hand and then struck with the other. He doesn't. He blocks and then he goes, boom. It's simultaneous. Is that okay? You know what I mean? So although he's blocking with one hand and hitting with the other, it's not and then. Is that okay? So when I watched it, when I read it again rather, I thought, yeah, no, he hasn't broken his rule. You know what I mean? Because that then is doing all the heavy lifting in that sentence. So you managed to block the first one. The second one's already on the way before you've managed to latch onto it. So that's a new problem. So I'll just parry it, not down because it might hit you, down and off to one side. And I edge that back foot forwards. As I throw that shot, those two knuckles connecting with the jawline. Is everyone okay with that one? I mean, that's really easy, right? If anyone makes any mistakes, I will be very disappointed. Just making sure there's simultaneous in your kata. And again, you could get variation of that. You want to hit with your fist that way around or that way around, or you know, you can. There's lots of little changes you can make there. So the way I did it, natural position, parry out, and then simultaneously hitting down. So it's down underneath my arm from there. And again, stick with Motobu's power generation methods as I do it. There's a slide forwards as I do that one. Slight kick in my back leg, so again I'm sticking to what he liked about stances. So leg is 1, 2. Is everyone okay to get that shot? Yeah, right foot forwards for the defender, if you like. But it's essentially 3 parts, so we'll do it part by part. And then once we've got this one, we'll do it slow, then you get a break. You know what I mean? So you can give your brains a well-earned rest. So this one, he hooks. He attacks with a hook. And there's things, like one of them, he slips as well. The things that a lot of modern karate, they don't like. Should always be upright. On number 10, Motobu's like this. In Funakoshi's karate do Gyohan, he's hitting like this, dropping underneath the punch. The old master had no problem with leaning when it was tactically appropriate to do so, right? The hooks is a weird one as well. It's one of those things I just don't get. Whenever I've done it, you know, I'll show it like a hook in a pad drill or a drill. There's always somebody go, that's boxing. And once, it was really interesting, a guy sent me a link to a forum post that I'm not a member, where they were talking about me. You know, I mean, and one of the guys go, yeah, the trouble with Ian now, he goes, he doesn't do karate. You know, he's mixed boxing and judo together and calls it karate. News to me. You know what I mean? There was me thinking that, I mean, I've studied both arts independently, but karate is my thing. But this is always, but there's hooks here. You know what I mean? Arcing shots, you see them all the time in your kata as well. How many times are you doing this kind of thing? And then for some reason I can't quite get my head around, apparently that doesn't exist. Karate is all this. And I think that's the influence of modern sport. You know, where they are nowadays, as I understand the rules, you're not allowed to throw hooks. So people don't. You know what I mean? But as a shot, it's perfectly legitimate, right? So this is what he does. Backhand attack comes in from there, he parries out. First things first, nearest weapon, nearest target, it's only got 8 inches to travel. So to get the power in, you could do this. Motobu doesn't, he stepped in with his foot. He's like, okay, and the hand just bounces in and those front 2 knuckles hit his jaw. Right? The nice thing about this as a defense is that's really close, so it's a very fast counter-attack. So we'll just do it a little bit quicker, Andy, if that's all right. So you've got this kind of a boom, it's already there. You know what I mean? It might not be a finishing shot, but it'll wobble him. And then you're ready for all the other ones. So it's boom, boom, it just bounces straight off it. Is it okay? So, and if you notice, I'm square when I'm blocking, and then I'm turning the hip in that way when I'm pivoting. So that's the first part of it. To me, this drill is about this idea that, you know, you can bounce off the arm. When you see it in entirety, you'll get it, but there to there. Is that okay? So I'm just driving those knuckles onto that jaw position. Someone should tell Motobu who's doing boxing. There was him thinking he was a karateka all this time. But you get the same thing. Whenever I show a throw, it's judo. Because especially if I've got the white gi on, it looks like judo, right? But the old karate had throws in it. I'm never ever going to inflict this on the internet, but I think one day I should do a throw in a wrestling singlet. And just see how many people go, that's not karate, it's wrestling. Just because I've got a suit on that they recognise as being part of it. Anyhow, block out, counter straight back in with that hook. Backhand's not doing anything, so I'll just put it in this neutral position here. Is everyone okay to give that a go? Okay.